Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Crys'Dawna. I'm sorry, my husband's in the background just waiting to play guitar and I feel like he's gonna just do something. Anyways, we are gonna be working on this piece today. I know that it looks from far away really good, but it's actually painted with probably, I'd say, like a wall paint. And so we are going to remove as much of this paint as we can because we're going to get a blue weathered look on here. So that's what we're going to be doing, is removing this paint, and we are going to refinish the top of it, and that's really it. So stay here if you guys want to see that.
The first thing I did was strip the paint off the top of this piece. It was fairly easy because I'm pretty sure it is a wall paint, but I put a thick layer of here on and then I let it sit for about 30 minutes, and then I went with my plastic scooper that some of you guys have seen and I scraped it off. I repeated this process a few times because once you get down to the bottom, that paint is kind of stubborn to get off. I will let you guys know I live in Germany right now, so this is a German chemical stripper, but a lot of people like to use chemical strippers and cover it with saran wrap and allow it to sit, and that works just as well. Once I removed as much paint as I could with the chemical stripper, I used mineral spirits and a Scotch-Brite pad, and I just scrubbed the rest of it off. This neutralizes the stripper and it also helps get any residue off. I went in and sanded the rest of the finish off. After everything had dried, I took my 3x4 electric ray by Surf Prep and I am just sanding the rest of the piece off. I started with an 100 grit and then I went to a 120 grit so I could smooth everything. Now, unless I took something like a dental pick or some kind of special wire brush, there is still white embedded into the wood grain. And so I thought the best way to do this for my client would be to make the top a cerused finish, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And they were okay with some of the white popping through when we do our wet distress later. So we kind of just rolled with it. This would have been better if there was no paint on here, but right here you can see I'm using my 5-inch random orbital by Surf Prep as well to rip that top off, or rip the paint off the top. I am taking a stiff wire brush and I am going with the grain. This is going to allow me to clean out more of that paint, and it's also going to deepen the grain for when we go in with our cerused finish. I wanted to get a good angle so you could see the deepened grain and how we've gotten most of that paint out of that wood grain. So the next step is to go in, and I'm going to use a water-based dark walnut stain, and I'm going to put thin layers and I'm going to stain the top of this piece. Now, if you guys have followed my channel before, you have seen that I've done a cerused finish on natural oak, but this one we wanted a little bit darker. So this is how you would achieve a darker look with the cerused finish. You're going to do your stain first, and then you're going to do a thin layer of your sealer, which you'll see me do, and then you're going to do either your white wax or your cerusing wax or whatever medium you're going to use to get into that wood grain. But just remember that you want to use thin layers. So I'm going to take Daydream Apothecary's Dream Coat and I'm going to do a thin layer of sealer. I do not want to fill in that deepened wood grain that we just deepened with that wire brush, but I want to seal this piece. That way when I go over it with the wax isn't what seals the top of this piece. This is going to seal and protect the top of the piece, and then I'm going to do the wax that's going to sit in the grain, and that is going to be another sealer. After this has completely dried, we are going to take a white wax and I am going to just use quite a bit of it so that I can push as much into that wood grain as I can. I'm going to apply it going against the grain. I'm going to do some circles. I'm going to go with the grain to push it in there. And that way we know that we have gotten enough of that white wax in there. If you want to use a glaze or a paint or a wax, you can do that. But what we're going to do is we are going to wipe this off with a microfiber cloth. So I have found that a white wax is the easiest way to achieve this cerused finish because it's the easiest to wipe back. And so you can see right here, I'm going against the grain. I'm going in the opposite direction of the grain at first, and then I'm going to go into circles to get any excess off, and you want to just buff in that wax. So now essentially this piece has a double layer of protection, that poly underneath and then also the wax that's on top of it. Once I was done with the top, I started working on the body and the drawers. So I removed all of the hardware, and I'm just gonna clean up these drawers by sanding all the excess paint off. And I'm really only gonna get most of the paint off in the center of these drawers because I'm gonna paint over it, and I'm gonna use some gold wax. So I just wanna pull back a little bit of the wood on these, and you'll see that in a little bit. So I didn't concentrate too much. I just wanted to make sure that I got any of the paint that was making these drawers look just gross off from the sides and on the top, and then I took off as much as I could on the front without putting too much energy in it, because if it's not going to come off with me sanding it easily, then I'm not worried too much about it. I think it's going to be secure enough to paint over. So here's what we got, and I'm going to tape the underside of the top of the piece. That way we can make sure we have clean lines underneath the top, and that way we don't get any paint on our newly cerused finish. I am now going to paint the entire piece with 2 coats of Deadly Nightshade. This is a really pretty deep indigo color, and so I'm going to do 2 coats on the entire piece. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do some wet distressing. So I'm going to take a green Scotch-Brite pad and mist the surface and scrub it back, and then mist the surface again and pull more back with a microfiber cloth. And you'll see that here in a second. I realize that some people are going to say, wow, why'd you take so much time and pull all that paint off just to repaint it? But I wanted to make sure that I had a really good foundation to repaint for my client, so that way later on I don't have to worry about if that white paint was going to peel up or if it was going to look bad or whatever. So that's why I did this. Here's the green Scotch-Brite pad, and what I'm doing is misting it with water and just kind of scrubbing it back to pull back that paint and have a wet distress. So Daydream Apothecary paint is a clay and chalk paint, and it's designed this way so that way you can really distress easily, and you can layer and do all the fun artistic finishes. But of course you can do a simple finish like this where you paint it and you just distress it and you show the wood and it looks really good. So once we're done with that, once we're done with this distressing, I am going to go in with Daydream Apothecary's Dream Coat, and I'm going to seal the entire piece because it does need to be sealed. One last step to bring it all together is using Redesign with Prima's Decor wax. And we are going to put some gold over these ornate areas with these flowers and just really bring everything all together.
Okay everybody, this piece is done, this video is done. I hope you enjoyed that. It's pretty simple, just kind of, I mean obviously I took all the paint off, but if you were to paint a piece that didn't have all this paint on here, then it's pretty simple. You just paint on here and then you wet distress, do some sealing, and if you wanted to add some gold, you can. And then this is how you do a Cerused top with the darker color. I have done a Cerused finish with the lighter color. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. There will be some staged photos here and I'm gonna pan over so you guys can see with video what the top looks like and how everything came out. So until next time guys, happy creating, thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you worry.